What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 138. And today we're going to wrap up the week that was in week 11. With me from right down that hallway here in Aberdeen, New Jersey, the commissioner of the Bigs, the creator of Aberdeen Backyard Baseball. He is a three-time Bigs champion and my best friend, Ben Nisman. Benny, how you feeling this week, my friend?
Feeling great as always. Thank you so much for the introduction, Joe. Obviously, very excited to break down part two of week 11. It was a very exciting week, but I do need to address the elephant in the room. And it occurred last episode. It's 6 for 20. I am extremely ashamed. On behalf of myself, I apologize to this league. It was incredibly unprofessional. This is not Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck play along. This is serious stuff. And when you give me a simple thing to convert, I should be able to do it with no problem. It's on me. And I got to be better. I got to step it up. Again, I apologize. I'm incredibly ashamed. And so let's get on with it. Let's get on to more horrendous math, please. Joe, as always, lead us off, my man.
Let's get going, boys. Benji, nobody's ever going to hold 6 for 20 against you, but you, I know, hold yourself to a better standard than that. So let's dive into this thing. Let's get this thing kicked off with the first matchup of the day. And it was probably the most surprising matchup of the week. It is, in fact, a 17-2 beating at the hands of Frank Bucco on Jimmy Dunlap. 17-2. Ben, did you see this coming?
No, I would have to agree that this is an incredible shock. Obviously, we're talking about a guy that's a former champion that's just coming back to this league and has struggled, mostly dealing with an injury bug, things that are pretty much out of his control. But even still, he's found a way to get some wins throughout the season and then walked into an equally cold opponent. Both of these guys were dealing with ugly losing streaks, and I pretty much expected them to go around 500, maybe an 11-8, maybe a 10-9, something like this. This was completely shocking.
No doubt. No doubt. And it was the way that it was done. Frank led all offensive categories going into Sunday. It was 14-3 going into Sunday. It ends up 17-2. Steals were tied, and Jimmy was able to get that one. However, wins were tied. Frank got that one. Saves were tied, and Frank got that one. And ERA was in Jimmy's favor by 54 ticks, and he ends up losing that to Frank by quite a considerable margin. So, close categories this week. Frank wins by the triple, 2 wins, a save, and 1 relief appearance. Jimmy wins by a stolen base and a loss. They tied in errors and home runs given up by a pitcher. For Frank on his bench this week, an 0 for 5, Benji.
Starting simple. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good way to kick it off. And no counting stats, just a straight 0 for 5. There was nothing on the bench to speak of. His moves this week, he made 9 of them. He added Luke Raley, 2 for 4 with an RBI and a strikeout. Gabriel Moreno, 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Nope, still not right. A run, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and a strikeout. That's what he did. He dropped Hayden Wisniewski. And then on, looks like Thursday, there was quite a, Friday, he dropped out basically almost his entire bullpen to replace 4 guys. It's Will Vest, Derek Law, Pierce Johnson, and Joe Jimenez all coming off of the team. And onto the team came Sam Hentges, a third of an inning and a relief appearance. Cole Sands, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts and a relief appearance. Adrian Morihone, an inning, a walk, and a relief appearance. And Sean Jelly, an inning, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. All 4 of them onto the team on Friday. All 4 of them into the game the day he picked them up. Very well done. Very well done. He also adds Eloy Jimenez to his IL, dropping Hurston Waldrop. He dropped Tyler Soderstrom for Danny Jansen, 0 for 2 with a run and a walk. And finishes out the week dropping Sean Jelly for Greg Weissert, who gave him a clean 2-inning relief appearance, which won the category for him on Sunday. His MVP this week, first off, is Jackson Merrill, 381 with a 409, 5 runs, a double, 4 homers, 6 RBIs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts, with a shout out to Shohei Ohtani's 4 homers and 5 RBIs. So Frank got 13 home runs. Well done. Well done.
Jeez.
The least valuable hitter was Randy Arozarena, who only hit 188 with a 350 on base with 3 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, the on base is really good. I mean, even though that's an ugly batting average, found a way to get on base that often for a least valuable player, you'd sign up for those stats.
No doubt. No doubt. The Cy Young this week is Ronaldo Lopez, a 6-inning shutout performance with a win and 8 strikeouts, an 050 whip, and only 1 walk. You remember when this dude was just like a league meme that helped you win a championship a few years ago?
For sure, for sure. But I guess this guy was meant to be a starter all along, right? Because with the White Sox, that's where he was, and then he was kind of getting messed around into the bullpen, and then he finds a home in Atlanta, and it just seemed to be working out. It was just a perfect match, and you didn't expect it. I'm sure when you were trading him for Josh Hader, you weren't expecting this kind of production.
No way. I had no clue that it was going to be this kind of production out of this guy. A 169 ERA before the 5-inning shutout appearance today. So he's had quite the first half. Only 4 wins, which is a little surprising, but it's still an incredible start for him. The Cy Young goes to a few guys in his bullpen: Will Vest, Pierce Johnson, Derek Law. They all had bad appearances, and some of them gave up some bombs. But realistically, this was just an incredible week for Frank, and it comes on the heels of a couple of really bad losses. So it's time to get right, time to start moving in the right direction. For Jimmy on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 7 for 27.
Oh. Okay, first one that I got to really wrap my head around.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with 256.
259. Very nicely done, sir. 3 runs. Looks like 2 doubles. Yep. 2 doubles, an RBI, a steal, and 3 strikeouts, and none of it plays. For his moves this week, there were only 4 of them. He added Matt McLean back from the IL, added Mitchell Parker 4 2/3, 3 walks, a strikeout, and nothing earned, and a 150 whip in Detroit. It's a weird stat line. He doesn't qualify for a win there because it was only 4 2/3, and the whip was a little bad over those 4 2/3. He did drop Cam Boozer for that guy. He adds Andy Page's 1 for 3 with a run, but he was on the bench for Matt Vierling, and added Yohan Ramirez, a clean relief appearance for Mitchell Parker. The MVP this week, he hit 174 with a 243 on base percentage and 60 strikeouts this week. So it's a little bit difficult to find somebody here, but we're going to give it to Wyatt Langford, 286 with a 348 on base, 2 runs, a double, 4 RBIs, 4 stolen bases, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The 4 stolen bases are what's important here. He won that category by 1. The least valuable hitter, is it Alec Burleson? Is it Rhys Hoskins? Is it Nolan Gorman's 12 strikeouts? It was a lot of guys on this team, to be honest. There weren't too many guys to write home about this week. So the Cy Young goes to another Brave. This one, Chris Sale. 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 2.57, and a 1 whip. And the Cy Young goes to Scott Alexander's 3 relief appearances, 2 losses, and a 13.50 with a 4.50 whip. Benji, neither one of these guys is headed in the right direction in the first half, but we could definitely see a second half push from either one of these teams. Are you concerned about where they sit in the standings here 11 weeks in, though?
Yeah, if I'm them, I'm extremely concerned. Obviously, they need to start rattling off wins, and they need to be big wins, and they need help from other managers going against each other. So it's looking tough based on schedules. It's a little bit better for Jimmy than it is for Frank in the second half, but it's not looking good for either. And my concern for Jimmy especially is Now it is not Joe leading the league with the lowest batting average. It is actually Jimmy now with a 232 batting average. He's also lowest in on base percentage, a 304. Really, really tough numbers. And just across the board with the offense against his opponents, it's really not 500 or better than 500 in any of them. 5 and 6 against opponents in runs. Same with doubles, 1 and 8 in triples, 2 and 4 against opponents in home runs. In RBIs, 2 and 9 against opponents. 500 in stolen bases, 4 and 4. Walks the same, 5 and 5. Strikeouts, 5 and 5. Errors, 2 and 6. Average, 4 and 7. On base, 5 and 6. He is not over 500 against opponents in one offensive category, Joe. It's a really, really ugly looking bunch of numbers here. And at least Frank does have over 500 against a couple of against opponents and a couple of things. Runs 5 and 4, doubles 5 and 3, tied with triples, tied in RBIs, ahead in stolen bases 7 and 4. Everything else, 6 and 4 in errors, and 6 and 5 and on base. The rest are a little under 500, but at least there are some over 500 offensive stats. To not be over 500 against opponents in any offensive stat for Jimmy, it's not pretty, man. Like it's going to take a lot, and because he's so crippled offensively from so many injuries, it's going to be tough to climb back, especially since the league has been so competitive so far this year.
24 games under 500 right now for Jimmy Dunlap, sitting in 13th place. Frank, one spot ahead of him in 12th, looking like 19 games under 500. So these guys got to get it in gear and get it in gear quickly.
No doubt. And if I could say one thing that Jimmy can hold on to, he has the third best ERA in this league with a 346, just underneath Josh with a 299 and Jay Ferraro with a 303. He's third best here. As far as whip, he's third best as well, just behind Jay and Josh with a 1.16. So he's pitching great. Like he really is pitching well, and he's competing against opponents well in those stats. It's really just the offense for him. So if he can find a way to pick it up, get some guys, maybe via trade, maybe via free agency. He hasn't used any of his trades yet, so he's got plenty of time to do something to restructure this offense. But something has to be done if the goal is a playoff push. Not a keeper league. We're not playing for next year. We'll get a whole new roster next year. So if he's going to trade, this is the time. But I do want to congratulate him. The Boston Celtics are champions of the NBA. Jimmy has seen more championships tenfold than I have in my life. Between the Red Sox with 4 championships, the Patriots with 6, the Celtics at least with 2 that he's gotten to see, and the Bruins at least with 1. So I'm extremely jealous of this guy, and it's hard for me to feel bad for him sometimes. He has a championship in this league. He's such a great manager, and now he's got a boatload of championships from his favorite team. So I feel badly for how it's going in the bigs, but it's hard to really feel badly for a guy that's gotten to experience so much nirvana and winning.
I'm sure that there's a lot of managers that are very happy right now not seeing Jimmy succeed. Not necessarily for the fact that they don't like him, but the fact that he is such a competitive and good manager that seeing him at the bottom, it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about that guy as much.
Right. But until you're facing him and he has that hot week and he's using 10 ads and he's bluffing and he's pulling out guys that you would never have thought to pick up in free agency that produce for him. So I can still see him stomping on a couple of teams because he's being underestimated. On the other side, Frank, biggest win of his season by far. By far. That includes the win over you, Joe, because of how huge this deficit is from Jimmy. 15, he gets plus 15. He erases 3 losses right there. So has he pushed himself right back in contention? No, not really, but he is still in striking distance of the 6th spot if he can collect more wins and get help. So I think this was a critical win at a critical time. I know he's feeling amazing about it, but it's just one. You gotta build on this somehow.
It was at this time last year I was counting myself out because I was sitting in 13th place in week 12 and thought there's too many teams to jump. It's too thick a league. And all I did was rattle off 10 to go get a bye. So it can happen. It can happen. Let's move on to the next matchup here, Benjamin. Let's talk about a very surprising yet record-setting matchup between Kostas Paragios and Jay Ferraro. One of the great matchups this week. Absolutely loved it.
Amazing. How often does someone set a record like the one Jay set and then still lose the matchup to a guy that you would say he has way more experience in this league than? With all due respect to Costas, I think everyone kind of went in thinking Jay should win this thing 12-9, 11-8, something like that. But he should certainly come away with this is now the second week in a row where Jay is almost like he's upset by somebody that's probably arguably an inferior manager. And now Jay is dealing with what looks like a 6-week winless streak, a loss to Josh 11-8, and then to Cody 12-9. He then tied Adam 10-10. He lost to you 11-9, lost to Sherman 10-9, and now losing to Kostas 12-9, 6 weeks in a row without a W. Even before that, it was a 10-9 win over Ari, and then the 10 tie to me. So even though these aren't huge losses, he hasn't been taking any kind of dump truckings, but like there's still no wins here in 6 weeks, and it's just if you thought that could happen during the season, that Jay could not get a win in 6 weeks, you'd be really surprised. And yet he's still really in striking distance of a bye. He's very healthy in a playoff spot, but it's just interesting right now that he's actually found himself in a little bit of skid. Maybe it's how his players are executing. Maybe it's his management. Maybe it's the actual matchup, who he's playing against, but it's just very peculiar that it's happened right now.
Yeah. Very, very strange little slump that Jay finds himself in. Kostas the beneficiary this week, a really good 12-9 win. It was 12-9 going into Sunday. Nothing changed on Sunday. None of the stats flipped. Nothing moved. So it stays 12-9 just as it was. Close categories this week. Kostas wins by 4 runs, 2 doubles, a home run, 2 RBIs, 3 wins, a save, and 3 relief appearances. Jay wins by a triple, 3 stolen bases, and only 15 homers by a pitcher. So,
Jeez.
yeah, not bad. Not bad. For Kostas on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 8 for 19.
Dude, really? Uh, 8 for 16 is 500. 432.
421. You're still in the ballpark. 6 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. None of it plays. Good job, Kostas. Kostas did, in fact, use all 10 moves this week. He starts off with Ryan Jeffers 0 for 4, dropping Patrick Sandoval. Then adds Freddie Fermin for Ryan Jeffers 1 for 4. He adds Michael Tonkin for Mark Leiter Jr. Tonkin, an inning and a third, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. He drops Spencer Turnbull for Andrew Nardi, who was terrible in his relief appearance. Drops Genesis Cabrera for Aroldis Chapman, who was fine. I guess he walked 2 guys in his relief appearance. He drops Michael Tonkin and Freddie Fermin for Lucas Sims, who did not appear. Dylan Floro for a clean relief appearance, and Johnny Brito for a 2 1/3 relief appearance. He gave up a bomb, so a 386 and an 086 on the ERA and WHIP. And finally on Sunday, dropped Andrew Nardi for Calvin Fauché, who did not appear, and dropped Johnny Brito for Wensiel Perez 1 for 4 with a strikeout. His MVP this week, Matt Olson, 478 with a 538 on base percentage. 6 runs, 4 doubles, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter is either Josh Lowe, who didn't get a hit and had 7 strikeouts, or Bryson Stott, who hit 063 with a 167 on base with 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lowe just because there were times where Stott was just sitting on Kostas's bench and lighting it up. At least 2 days where he decided not to play Stott and he got hits. So even though it's when he's playing where these stats show up, but I mean, come on, not a single hit from Josh Lowe. He should be ashamed of himself.
Mm-hmm. The Cy Young goes to Mackenzie Gore, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 7 strikeouts, a 129, and an 086. This was the key piece in the Soto trade, along with CJ Abrams. He's having a pretty nice season from what I can gather here.
Yeah, it's pretty
3
evident to me that he's the best starting pitcher on that team, on the Nationals.
Yeah. 91 strikeouts over 75 innings, a 3.25 ERA, and a 132 whip with 6 wins. Yeah, he's doing just fine. Though a shout out to Ryan Stanek, who got him 3 saves this week in 4 relief appearances, did win that category by 1. So shout out to Ryan Stanek for picking up the slack while Andres Munoz is on the mend. The Cy Yuck this week for Kostas. That goes to a couple of bullpen guys as well. Andrew Nardi, Spencer Turnbull, Mark Leiter Jr. All 3 of those guys were pretty bad. So for Jay on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 0 for 3. He does have a walk, and none of that plays, obviously. He used 6 moves this week. He adds Masataka Yoshida back from the IL 0 for 2 with a walk, dropping Hunter Strickland. He added Cade Povich, who was benched, 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 083 whip against Atlanta, dropping Wandy Peralta. He adds Jackson Churio, 2 for 4 with a strikeout, dropping Jacob Young. And then on Sunday, adds Spencer Horowitz, 1 for 4 with a run, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. Nice Jewish boy from the Toronto organization, dropping Cade Povich. He adds Yuki Matsui, an inning and a third, a strikeout, and an 075 whip in a relief appearance, dropping Yoshida. And he adds Kodai Senga to his IL, dropping Justin Slayton. His MVP this week, another guy who's going to be hard to find. It's a 180 batting average with 275 on base percentage, but he did have 12 steals and 26 walks. So it's important to find the guys who contributed the most there. We're going with Jackson Churio, 308 with a 438 on base percentage, a run, 2 steals, 2 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The steals came from all over the place. Nico Horner had 3, Seiya Suzuki had 2, Anthony Volpe had 3, but none of those guys hit at all. So Nico Horner might end up being the least valuable hitter despite the 3 steals, a 105 with a 150. A 152 batting average from Volpe, a 154 from Ramirez. It was just a horrible week for Jay's hitting.
One you didn't mention, Adley Rushman. My God, a .91 average, a 222 on base, 1 run, 1 double, 1 bomb, 4 RBIs, none of the steals, 4 walks. Sure, that was helpful. 9 strikeouts. That led the team. So there's your number 2 round, their second round pick, who's just like you said, Joe. I mean, there's just ugly numbers across the board from this offense this week. They gave Jay nothing.
Yeah, but the pitching staff gave Jay absolutely everything he could have hoped for. This man set a record, lowest ERA in the league, over 49 2/3 innings, an 0.54 ERA with an 0.87 whip. The 0.54 ERA breaks a record of an 0.64 ERA set by Ari about 5 or 6 years ago. It's now set at 0.54 over 49 2/3. Really great. And here's the thing: nobody's a Cy Young on this squad this week. I mean, the highest ERA he saw was a 4.50 out of Mason Miller, who took a loss, gave up a bomb, a walk, and a strikeout across his 2 relief appearances. But the Cy Young, I mean, Hunter Brown, 7 shutout, Justin Steele, 6 shutout, Ranger Suarez, 6 2/3, 1 earned. Craig Kimbrell had 4 shutout relief appearances with 2 saves.
Skeens, 6 1/3.
Skeens, 6 1/3 shutout. Bryce Miller, 7 innings shutout. Yeah. everything was clicking on the pitching side for Jay, no doubt.
Yeah, and the fact that we said Mason Miller, he was the worst pitcher. It's only 2 innings and 1 earned run for 50 ERA. So like we're just talking about 1 run. I mean,
Yeah.
Joe, this is what's beautiful about this league. The fact that someone can set a record uh, that may never be broken ever again. A .54 ERA over 7 days, nearly 50 innings, even the .87 whip. I mean, his pitching was so perfect. That's what's fascinating about the bigs because there are so many stats that if you slump offensively, you could have the greatest pitching week ever and still somehow lose the week, somehow still lose it by 3. I mean, his offense brought him nothing, and Kostas grabbed the stats that he could. I don't know if Jay was being cautious here and wanted to protect this ERA, but for him to only have 15 relief appearances, that's unlike Jay, right? The fact that
Mhm.
Costas took him by 3 with only 18. Usually Jay is getting into the 20s. The fact that Jay Ferraro loses and saves 4-3 by 1. I know that's a couple of the reasons why I put Costas in my managers of the week. But now that we can dig into this more, it just becomes more and more shocking that these types of stats that Jay wins in his sleep and not trying, all of a sudden Costas found a way to get a couple of these. And it's just incredible how Jay has not been able to find himself a way to get a win, like even a decisive win in over 2 months. And here is Costas. He's only 10 under 500 with a half a season to play. Doesn't have a great schedule in front of him, but if he can find himself in a hot streak, he's got some solid players. We don't love his offense. We don't love his staff. The solid manager, though, and he likes this team and he likes the way it's trending. So, very different styles of management, two completely different types of teams. I obviously think that Jay is he seems like he's poised to have a big second half, especially since he's been so cold. My only concern with Jay right now, out of trades, like no way to really create something new in the trade market. It's going to have to be from free agency or hope that his guys start executing a little bit more. And on Costas, he needs a lot of help. He needs other teams to beat up on other teams as he continues to try to cruise through this. It's going to be tough for him.
No doubt. No doubt. 10 under 500 in 10th place for Costas. Jay, 12 over 500 in 5th. Hasn't gotten a win in 6 weeks. Hope to get off the schneid sometime soon, I would imagine. Jay did text me this week. I have to grab his text message as well and
Oh
see
yeah,
what he
please
had to.
do. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because he has to be aware that he just did that with the ERA.
Mm-hmm. I'm only one game over 500 in what has to be almost 2 months. And yes, it was week 5 versus Ari. He's now only one game over 500 over the last 6. Uh, it's been a little bit of a struggle for him, and we'll see going forward. Who does he have this week?
Bobby.
It's not a favorable matchup for a team that's
No,
that cold.
no. I mean,
No.
Bobby's coming off a cold week as well, though, the way he lost to Adam. So something's got to give. One guy is going to take this win. I do not see a tie coming. And it's just going to be which team just all of a sudden, oh my God, this team just got hot out of nowhere this weekend. And that's what's going to happen during the weekend. One of these two teams is going to get scorching.
No doubt. No doubt. Can't wait to see which one it is. Let's move on to the next matchup, Benjamin. That's going to be Josh Haber taking down a 11-9 loss from Cody Piatt, who just continues to impress in this league. How impressed are you with this rookie?
Shocked, impressed, pleasantly surprised. Certainly did not expect. I mean, what else can you say? 26 over 500, making all the right moves, staying up till 3 a.m., making pickups. And what else can you say? He's making brilliant trades. Everything he seems to be doing is right. And the fact that he's been getting wins off incredible managers like a Jay Ferraro, like a Josh Haber, it really is amazing. And that's only the first half. He has got more to bring to us in the second half, potentially.
No doubt. We shall see what he brings us. It was 11-9 going in. It's 11-9 coming out. On Sunday, Cody led by 4 strikeouts by a batter. Josh ends up getting the tie out of that. Stolen bases, Cody led by 1. Josh flips that on its ear. Looks like wins. Josh had a 1-win advantage, and Cody flipped that. And let's see, walks given up by a pitcher. Josh had 2 advantage there and ends up giving up too many to give Cody that category. Finally, relief appearances were tied. Josh took that down. So 11-9 going in, 11-9 coming out despite all of those changes. Close categories this week. Josh wins by the steal, 2 errors, 2 losses, 2 home runs given up by a pitcher, and 3 relief appearances. Cody wins by 2 doubles, 2 triples, 8 ticks on the on-base percentage, a win, and 2 walks by a pitcher. They tied in that aforementioned strikeouts. For Cody on his bench this week, Benjamin, here's a good one. He goes 8 for 24.
Oh, thank God. Wow. It's something to make me look good. It's a 333.
It is indeed, with 3 runs, 2 RBIs, a stolen base, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The stolen base would have played. The 5 strikeouts also would have played. So good job keeping those out of your lineup. His moves this week, he used all 10. First of all, the big trade that happened with Henry. Camilo Duvall, Tanner Scott, and Luis Heel to Henry for Pete Alonso and Justin Verlander. So Justin Verlander and Pete Alonso coming in to Cody's team. How do you feel about that acquisition?
Yeah, when it happened, I was pretty surprised. I didn't think that Pete Alonso would ever be moved. And I guess the fact that Henry had Anthony Rizzo at the time, he felt that he at least had a first baseman that is expendable. We've seen what Luis Gil has done. He's arguably the AL Cy Young right now. I understand the move. I like it more for Cody because I always feel like Pete, number one, is always he's a given for 40 home runs and 100 RBIs, and that's hard to get, especially now. I feel like there's a lot less offense being produced across the board in baseball, where he's been something that's so consistent through the years, not to mention a contract year. He trying to make as much money as possible. And although I understand Luis Gil's having an awesome season, it's just that who is Luis Gil? Like I don't know him enough. I know that he's been injured a lot, so I'd always be worried that something could be lingering or something could all of a sudden happen where, oh, a setback, that relapse in some way. But also maybe he just starts to struggle. And it's also a starting pitcher. Starting pitchers affect your team once a week, maybe twice a week. And if he's ineffective or just okay, then it really wasn't worth it, where an offensive player can continuously be giving you stats. So yeah, if I had to look at all these players and see who got the better deal, I obviously have no idea and I don't have a crystal ball, but off the bat, I would say I like it more for Cody.
Even despite the fact that Justin Verlander goes on to the IL with this neck thing and he doesn't even get a start out of him, he's going to be sitting with him for a little bit. Ben likes the move for Cody more. Moving on. Jacob Webb gets added for a clean relief appearance, as well as Shelby Miller for a clean relief appearance, dropping Sir Anthony Dominguez. He drops Eric Miller for Nick Martinez, an inning and 2/3, a loss, a 16-20, and a 3 in a relief appearance. He drops Jock Peterson for Joe Mantiply for a clean relief appearance. He drops Nick Martinez for Angel Zerpa for a clean relief appearance. He drops Will Smith, the reliever, for David Peterson, 5 innings, a win, 2 walks, a strikeout, a 720, and a 2 against Miami, but we won, so whatever. He drops David Peterson for Sean Armstrong, an inning and a third, a walk, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. And he drops Dylan Floro for Simeon Woods Richardson, 4 innings, a homer, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 9 and a 2 against Oakland. He drops Jacob Webb for Trent Thornton, who had a clean relief appearance, and finishes it off dropping Simeon Woods Richardson for old friend Miles Michaelis. 6 1/3, a win, 5 strikeouts, a 1.42 and an 0.63 against Chicago. The MVP this week, surprisingly enough for Cody, is Carlos Correa. 548 with a 576 on base percentage, 9 runs, a double, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter goes to Isaac Paredes, 222 with a 250, 2 doubles, an RBI, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. Though a shout out does go to Pete Alonso, who only hit 160 for him in his first week. The Cy Young goes to Miles Michaelis. We talked about him. And the Cy Young goes to Aaron Nola, who was absolutely dreadful this week. As soon as I could find him. 3 2/3, a loss, a homer, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 1964 and a 355. That was a horrible start for him. For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes a solid 3 for 19.
Great. 3 for 19. Well, he did great. He did great. Boy, 3 for 6, 18. Boy, 3 for 10 would have been 300. 188.
158. With 4 runs, a double, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The only thing that matter here are the 5 strikeouts he kept out of his lineup because, again, that category remained tied. His moves this week, he made 10 of them. He added Caleb Thielbar, who had a walk-off homer and the only batter he faced, which is terrible, dropping Jake McCarthy. He added Adael Amador. What team?
You kidding me? The Pawtucket Patriots.
Ooh, good guess. It's the Colorado Rockies. He went 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, dropping Brian Bayo. He added Kybert Ruiz from a waiver ad, 0 for 4, dropping Davis Schneider. He added Pedro Avila for Caleb Thielbar. He adds Paul DeYoung, 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts for Amador. He had Sir Anthony Dominguez, an inning, a save, 2 strikeouts, and a relief appearance for Stephen Okert. He drops Paul DeYoung for Ryan Nelson, 6 innings, a win, a walk, 8 strikeouts, a 150 and a 117 against the White Sox. He drops Ryan Nelson for Matthew Liberatore, clean inning and a relief appearance. Drops Jordan Montgomery for Tommy Henry, 4 innings of a relief appearance, 2 bombs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts at 11.25 and a 2. And finally drops Tommy Henry for JP Sears, 4 1/3, a loss, 3 bombs, 4 walks, and 8.31 and a 3 in Minnesota. His MVP this week, Alex Verdugo, 258 with a 281, 4 runs, a double, a homer, 7 RBIs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to Justin Turner, a 100 with a 250, a run, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. The Cy Young goes to Griffin Jacks, 4 relief appearances, 4 innings, a save, 7 strikeouts, a 225, and an 075. And the Cy Young goes to Tommy Henry and JP Sears, whom we talked about. Benji, both these guys in pretty good shape after the first half, sitting very pretty. 36 games over 500 for Josh. Look at like 26 games over 500 for Cody. Who do you think is going to finish higher at the end of the season?
I don't know the answer to that. It's really going to come down to matchups, what teams, players go completely cold, which ones just go bananas and get really hot. It's really hard to say. Based on experience, you would think that Josh finds a way to get very high in the standings, maybe gets his first bye ever, but certainly finds a way to get into the playoffs. Taking a look at Cody's stats here offensively as he faces opponents, I don't think anyone is as good against opponents offensively right now. I'd have to look deeper to see, but 6-5 against opponents in runs, 6-3 in doubles, 7-2 in triples, 6-4 in homers, 8-3 in RBIs. The only one, there's 2, but 4-6 in stolen bases, 7-2 in walks, 6-4 in strikeouts against opponents, 3-5 in errors, 6-5 in average, 7-4 on base. So besides stolen bases and errors, which is very specific, Cody's been great offensively against opponents. I mean, we already talked about Josh's ERA and WHIP being ahead of everybody in this entire league, a 2.99 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP. But how about what he's doing against opponents in the pitching category? Okay, so in innings, because he's going to be careful in some ways, he's 3-8 against opponents in innings, 4-4 in wins, but 8-2 in losses, 9-2 in saves, 9-2 in home runs given up, 10-1 in walks given up, 1-10 in strikeouts short, 10-1 in ERA, 10-1 in WHIP, 7-3 in RAP. Two very different squads. Josh dominating on the pitching side. Cody incredibly consistent on the offensive side. Very fascinating to see these two teams collide and what ended up happening here.
No doubt. No doubt. Now, if it's me, I like the offensive side to carry a team into the playoffs more because we do talk about those players impacting every day versus every fifth day for the starters or every second or third day for relievers. So if it's me, I'll take Cody to finish higher than Josh. But I mean, this is an incredible matchup we saw here, and one I hope we see again in the 2024 playoffs. Final matchup of the week, we're going to talk about Benjamin. We're going to talk about Bryan Lebo getting another win, this time over Henry Collins, 11-9. What a good matchup this was.
Yeah, a great comeback, and it was like just two guys throwing haymakers at each other back and forth, and I had no idea who was going to win. I figured that Henry would find a way based on the fact that he's played better this season and he has a better squad, but you never count Bryan Lebo out. You never can know what the guy is going to do in the weekend and how all of a sudden things will flip on its ear, because I experienced it against Bryan Lebo, I believe in the second week of the season last year, where I had a lead up until Sunday and then 3 random home runs and a triple. And it's like, okay, I lost. So you never know when it's coming. Henry, I love the team. It has scuffled a little bit though, and it's only 1/500, and he had a really, really nice start. So we're gonna have to see where this all plays out, because right now it seems like he's in a little bit of trouble.
Lebo was definitely the victim of some very bad Sundays over the last month or so, but this week he was the beneficiary of a big Sunday. He was down 11-6 going into Sunday. It comes out 11-9. Henry led by 3 runs, and Lebo flipped that one. Henry led by 3 RBIs. Lebo tied that one. Stolen bases were tied. Henry did grab that one. Henry led by 8 ticks on the on-base percentage. Lebo got that one. Wins were tied. Lebo got it. Saves were tied. Lebo got it. And relief appearances were tied. And Lebo got that one too.
Yeah.
So again, 11-6 Henry going in, 11-9 Lebo coming out. Great Sunday.
Oh.
Close categories. Lebo wins by the run, 9 ticks on the on-base percentage, 2 wins, 2 losses, a save, and 2 relief appearances. Henry wins by a double, a steal, a walk, 2/3 of an inning pitched, 4 strikeouts, and 4 ticks on the whip. They did tie in RBIs. For Lebo on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 8 for 30.
Eight for 30. So I feel like this is something that I can simplify here, Joe.
It is.
So we got 4 for 15.
Yep.
That's
Not too
not
much
very
more help,
helpful.
though.
Not
Nope.
very helpful, but it's something. 268.
Oh, 267. He almost nailed that one on the nose. 2 runs, a homer, an RBI, a walk, 7 strikeouts, and an error. The RBI obviously plays as they tied that category. The walk plays as he lost that category by 1. He used 9 moves this week. He added Tommy Canley for Bowden Francis, Added Yuki Matsui for a clean relief appearance, dropping Adrian Morihone, and added Patrick Bailey, 1-for-4 with a double. He dropped Yuki Matsui for Wandy Peralta, who has an infinite ERA and relief appearance. He did not retire a batter. He got blown up in his relief appearance and got dropped the next day. For Austin Wells, who went over 2 with a walk, he dropped Patrick Bailey for Vinny Natoli, gave him a clean relief appearance. He dropped Austin Wells for Jose Trevino, 1-for-4 with a home run, an RBI, solo home run, and a strikeout. He drops Vinny Natoli, who sounds like a really bad professional wrestling name, Vinny Natoli. You know, he's
definitely.
Yeah. He drops he adds Tanner Banks, who gave him a clean relief appearance, and he drops Banks for Ian Hamilton, who was awful in his relief appearance on Sunday. The most valuable hitter is Tommy Pham, Jazz Chisholm, Ellie. It was all pretty good this week for him. We'll give it to Jazz, 368 with a 400 on base percentage, 2 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, a steal, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter goes to Josh Bell, who did not get a hit and had a 105 on base percentage with 2 walks and 4 strikeouts. Ben Nisman, your thoughts on Josh Bell?
I can't believe the regression of this player, of what he was in, was it 2018 or 2019 when Bobby Russo owned him, and he was just the most scary player on the Pirates. And then he tailed off in the second half of that exact season. And then since then, it's just really not the same player. When he played for Washington, he was like a little bit better. And then last year was a mess. And I've juggled him and Nathaniel Lowe and Carlos Santana all year, and all Nathaniel Lowe and Josh Bell did was cost me a championship. If I had just focused on my guy and just let it play out the whole time with Carlos, I would have been in much better shape. What the hell happened to Josh Bell? And I will say that part of it is probably not his fault, because the Miami offense is so skittish. It's like, it scares.
Yeah.
I really don't know, like, how much you can really expect of this guy once Luis Ariz is not even on the team anymore. Then who gets to see good pitches anymore, right? Chaz Chisholm is there. Bryan De La Cruz, he's been having a nice season, I think. But in general, this is such a lackluster offense. And Josh Bell, because of the style of his play, he's a strikeout, he's a power kind of guy in doubles. I mean, he's going to be doing a lot of swinging and missing because he's going to be seeing the best pitches.
244, 7 homers, 32 RBIs, 28 runs scored across 73 games for Josh Bell. Just pedestrian is the word I would use for that.
Yeah, no, it's actually better than I expected. I thought it was going to be worse than 240.
Yeah. You're always going to be chasing that 2019 first half with this guy, because it was juice ball era, and then he just sort of got figured out ever since, whether it was Washington, whether it was San Diego, whether it was his time in Cleveland, or now in Miami. He's just not been anywhere close to that guy. The ball is different. Pitchers have figured him out. He's pedestrian at this point. The Cy Young for Bryan Lebo goes to a combination of Corbin Burnes and Tyler Glasnow. Burnes, 13 innings, 2 wins, 13 strikeouts, a bomb, 3 walks, a 138 and a 115. Glasnow, 7 shutout innings, a win, 9 strikeouts, a walk, and an 057. The Cy Young goes to Wandy Peralta's horrible relief appearance where he didn't get anybody out. The one question Jason asks is, why is Hunter Stratton still rostered on this team?
I don't know. That's an answer for Bryan Lebo.
Yeah, he's on the 15-day IL. He's out indefinitely due to triceps strain. He's a middle reliever on the Pirates. Not exactly a guy you hang on to when he's on the IL. And, you've already rostered Edman, Real Muto, who are on the IL. Like, get rid of this clown. Get rid of him. For Henry on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 10 for 39.
Oh, great. 256.
You nailed it. Right on the nose. He nailed it. Let's go. You hold yourself to a higher standard, sir. Nailed it.
Thank you.
A run, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and 7 strikeouts. The run certainly matters as he lost that by 1. The RBIs, he tied, so you'd like to get those into the lineup as well. He used 8 moves this week, and of course, we talk about the other side of that deal. Luis Gil, Camilo Doval, and Tanner Scott, giving up Pete Alonso and Justin Verlander. So he gets 2, I would call it 1.5 closers, because Tanner Scott's like the closer on Miami, and then Luis Gil, who had a really nice start against Boston this week. Thoughts?
Well, again, we need to see more of it. Like we need to see it play out. I'm not a Tanner Scott fan. I think he's a couple of outings away from losing a job, especially on that team where I feel like you can kind of just mix and match and see what you have and make it a reevaluating, rebuilding type of season for the Marlins. So it really comes down to if this Luis Gil really is as advertised in his last few starts. Is he like is he doing what Ranger Suarez is doing, like coming into his own and finding himself as one of the better pitchers, right? Or is he like a Ryu, right? Or a Robbie Ray, like guy that he finally gets healthy, he's hot, and then regresses or gets hurt again. It's really hard to say, man. I'm glad that Henry was able to shed Verlander, who was obviously one of those types of players, over 40 years old, and you never know when the injury is going to happen. So he shedded that nicely. I will say that. I just, again, Pete Alonso and what he could bring, especially now that Anthony Rizzo is hurt. Man, it would have been so nice for him to be his first baseman every day. But now he's going to have to mix and match and make bigger decisions. He still has some trades. I believe he's only used 3 of them. So he's got some stuff to work with as far as building this team to a potential playoff for the second year in a row. But he's taken 2 losses in a row now, and Henry's he's got to work his way back into a good situation, because the fact that he has you this week is troubling. Like I would be very, very concerned after 2 losses in a row to have to face you. The heartbreaker here, the biggest heartbreak of this matchup, Sunday. We talked about how Henry had a lead here, and it looked like he was going to win the week. And it's not like Bryan hit that well on Sunday, a 225 average and a 326. But then Henry over 27 at bats, 4 hits, a 148 average, and a 207 on base. And we've been there when we feel like a win should happen, and then as cold as you could ask for kind of Sunday absolutely drops you in the standings. You take the L as a result because of a horrendous Sunday. And how about on the pitching side, man? He got a 108 ERA out of Camilo Doval. He got a 1620 out of Kirsten Waldrip.
Yep.
And he got 5 2/3 for a 476 out of Eflin, a 506 from Dakota Hudson, a 9.19 ERA, and a 2.04 whip on Sunday, a 9.19 ERA on Sunday, a 148 average on Sunday. And it's so amazing how the Bigs is, because for 6 days, you could feel like you got yourself a win. And then just one horrendous day changes everything. And all of a sudden you face a loss. And now you got Joe Schubert. You're looking down the barrel. Joe Schubert, after coming off a win. I'm worried about Henry here, Joe. I'm not pushing the panic button, but I'm worried.
Going back to the trade, I love the idea of getting Camilo Doval and having a lockdown closer on this squad. If he's going to compete in the playoffs, he's going to need that guy. The thing about Tanner Scott is, you're right, he's 1 or 2 bad outings away from losing the job. And he's about a month away from getting traded off this team anyway.
Probably. And then not having the closer role once he's traded.
Bingo. He's going to be somebody's 8th or 7th inning lefty guy out of the bullpen, because he's not great. He's not going to be anybody's closer, but he's good enough and going to be a free agent at the end of the year that the Marlins are going to shed that and get whatever they can for him. So for now, he's got 2 closers, but who knows how long that's going to last. I think I'm with you that I like the deal for Cody a little bit more. The rest of his moves this week, Henry did drop Trevor Richards to complete the deal. He adds Gavin Sheets for Mitch Spence. Sheets goes 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. He adds Jake Rogers for Cole Sands, 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. He adds Josh Rojas, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Drops Kevin Kelly for Jose Soriano, 8 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 2.25, and an 0.88 in Arizona. He drops Jake Rogers for Ivan Herrera, 3 for 4, a run, a stolen base, a strikeout, and an error. So you get just about everything in that little mix there. He drops Josh Rojas for Brett Wisely, who never got into a game before being dropped on Sunday for Dakota Hudson. 5 1/3, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 5.06, and a 150 in Pittsburgh. And he dropped Jose Soriano for the aforementioned Hurston Waldrop. 3 1/3, 2 bombs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 16-20, and a 270 against Tampa Bay. This is the second time this kid has fucked somebody on a Sunday. It was Frank a couple of weeks ago because he didn't get more than 1 strikeout in the game and he couldn't get a strikeout. And now it's this where he just blows up and loses so many categories on Sunday because the team was bad. The team was really bad, and he was a contributing factor. Watch out for Hurston Waldrop. He's a hand grenade. Stay away from him. The MVP for Henry's team this week is going to be Bobby Witt Jr., 393 with a 433 on base, 3 runs, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Andres Jimenez, 077 on base and average with just 1 RBI. The Cy Young goes to Jose Soriano's 8-inning appearance that I told you about. And the Cy Young goes to Hurston Waldrop because, yeah, he's a hand grenade. And now he's on the IL. Cool.
I'd throw Camilo Duvall's appearance in there, though. I mean,
oh, yeah, 1543 across 3 of them. Yeah, he could have been a lot better. Had he not blown up and Tanner Scott throw to a 7-7-1 with a loss, maybe Henry's able to walk away with saves this week.
Maybe, yeah.
Because he loses that by 1 to Lebo.
Yeah.
Henry 1 over in 9th place. You're a little concerned about him. What about Lebo, who sits 28 games under in 15th? Is there any chance that this team's going to put it together and get rolling, or is he too far out now?
Well, math is on his side. I mean, there's plenty of season left. I don't know. He's got to beat me first. Like him and I are obviously we're gonna have a really intense battle. If he can find his way on the winning end of it, I'll say yeah, there's still an opportunity here, but that's easier said than done. And he does have a very, very challenging schedule in front of him, so it's hard to say. If my gut instinct is that there may be too many teams in front of him that he has to jump, but 11 weeks is a lot of time. It's a whole second half, and we are going to see a couple of teams at the top drop drastically, and we're going to see teams on the bottom continue to rise. So I love his management. I think he's an incredibly skilled manager, and I think he's only gotten better over the last 4+ years. So he has that on his side. He has more experience than Henry, but Henry has been drafting better. He's been playing better day-to-day fantasy baseball in general. I'm concerned about both of these teams. That's what I'll say about this. I don't love either of these teams' chances, but I hope both of them surprise me.
I certainly hope so as well. I'd love to see Bryan Lebo go on a run like he did, what was it, 2021 or 2022, where the second half he was just red hot, just burning through teams and getting back into this fight. Want to see that happen for him. Definitely want to see Henry put together a strong second half as well and get in this thing, because he sits right there in 9th, 1 game over. He's still in this thing by all accounts. Oh, yeah. So gonna love to see that. Benji, we did our managers of the week this week already. So is there anything else we want to drop in this week?
Yeah, you brought up Aberdeen backyard baseball. We had an amazing matchup yesterday. You, myself, and Bobby. Bobby is the new champion. He scored 13 runs. You and I came in second with 9, and we invite all the locals to come over and play a game. I'll mow the lawn, and we'll have a battle over pride, I guess, more than
Damn right.
anything. Because we're in our 40s now and these things become more challenging. But if we can get ourselves out there, even in 90-degree weather, we'll do it. It's a blast. And as is this league, we've been blessed this year with incredible competition, tons of upsets, and anything is possible in the second half. I can't wait for more.
Guys, come check out the backyard baseball. It's a lot of fun, but you will be sore the next day. I promise you that. You're gonna be feeling it the next day. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Benjamin, thank you for being here with me, my friend.
Pleasure as always, man. Can't wait. Can't wait. We have an exciting second half ahead of us.
No doubt, guys. This would be nothing without all of you, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.